Tune in to WLEZ Radio, the soundtrack of your life.
Hello and welcome to another edition of JSU Connections, the program produced by students and mass communications faculty at Jackson State University. I'm Dr. Sunny Fridge, and we are continuing with our Black History series this month. I'm joined, as usual, by my student producer, Miss Michaela Croft, who's a little bit under the weather, but we appreciate you coming in today.
Thank you.
And we also have Mass Comm Major Chrissy Blanks.
Thank you.
Okay, now our guest today is no stranger to the Civil Rights Movement. He's marched with Dr. Martin Luther King. He's a husband, a pastor, and an instructor at Jackson State University. We welcome Reverend Baron Banks to the show. Hello, sir.
Hello, Dr. Fridge. Good to be here.
Oh, it's great to have you here. So, my students are the ones who actually said, hey, Reverend Banks would be a great addition to the show. And it turns out, Chrissy, you actually told us about him from your hometown. Tell us just a little bit about that.
Yes, ma'am. He's from Meridian, Mississippi. As I can recall, he was a pastor at New Hope Baptist Church, which was down the street from my house. So that's how I pretty much knew him.
Small world, right?
Small world.
Yes. So tell us a little bit about yourself for our listeners who don't know about you, sir.
Well, to these great students and Dr. Fridge, my hometown is Chula, Mississippi.
Mm-hmm.
That's in Holmes County in the Delta. I was reared, brought up there. During the early 60s, I believe around 64 or 5, when I was graduating from high school,
mm-hmm.
Became very involved in the civil rights movement at a young age. The name Robert Clark might be familiar, Representative Robert Clark. I was a student campaign worker for him when he ran for the first black legislature since Reconstruction. And that was an interesting, a little scary campaign, but he won that race. And since that time, after coming to Jackson State, around 67, I had a chance to be more involved when I marched from Canton to Tougaloo in the James Meredith March. Dr. King really joined that march around Sanatobia, Mississippi. That was the campaign march for the James Meredith started.
Mm-hmm.
And after Meredith was shot and he was released to come back to that march, Martin joined the march, got a chance to meet people like Sidney Poitier during that march, Sammy Davis Jr.
Right.
I believe, if I to be corrected, there were several others, I can't call the names, but it was a very interesting night. We stayed all night in Canton, came to Tougaloo, and from there to the Capitol. That was in 1967, and maybe a year before Dr. King was assassinated.
And what was the purpose of that particular march?
That was a Poor People's March, led by James Meredith.
Mm-hmm. Now, I understand that when you were 18, it was a special moment in your life. I mean, you actually had to be accompanied by state marshals to keep from being beaten when you were trying to vote.
Exactly right. That's why I'm so passionate. Sometimes a little bit upset when some of our students, generation today, don't take this vote very serious.
Mm-hmm.
Because it had not been for that moment when the federal registrars was asked by Attorney General Robert Kennedy, I believe, to come down to make sure. 3 days before that, a minister had been beaten
mm-hmm.
in Lexington, Mississippi. And so I went to vote, and so at that time they had federal registrars there armed and to protect us.
Mm-hmm.
And that's my first time to vote at age 18 with the help of federal registrars there in Lexington.
Wow. And did you also, was it you? I think I actually watched an interview. You actually also had a chance to meet Fannie Lou Hamer.
I sure did. During the time that the high school that I was to attend was bombed. That would have been we called it then the white school. I was just ending my middle school to go to the Chula High School.
Mm-hmm.
It was bombed.
Wow.
Okay, that means at that point that we had to build a new school. and that's where we got the name Chula Attendance Center. Fannie Lou Hamer, along with Aaron Henry, I believe Charles Evers,
Wow.
Emmett Burns, came down and we marched, picked up the bricks from that Burns school, and that's when I first met Fannie Lou.
Wow. And what type of impact did all this make on you as you look back, you know, and even shape your life?
Well, being raised in a Christian home, mother was a school teacher, but also involved in civil rights, but not telling other people, because during that time, if you're a school teacher, you don't tell folks you're part of the NAACP.
Mm-hmm.
You're part of a civil rights organization. That just was a no-no for teachers. So since that time, it has guided me to be much more involved, to understand what Dr. King's dream was all about, to understand what Barack meant when he says, yes, we can. So it's just not one person. It's all of us together. With that experience that has guided me in both my Christian life and my social community life.
What inspired you to become a minister? I know you grew up in a Christian home. What was it that made you decide to take that extra step to serve the Lord?
Well, when I first had my teaching job in Morehead, Mississippi, after graduating from Jackson State, again, during that particular year of my first teaching, school was integrated in 1971. I found out that I could make some things happen. So at that Morehead school, we integrated in the middle of the year. Some teachers refused to go to the school across the track. Some refused to come over. I went to the school, to the all-white school at that time, along with a coach. We all went together. What inspired me that, wait, you can do more than just teach. That's great. I love it. But I was able to have a play that the principal said, let's don't have that play at night because we don't know what's going to happen, Mr. Bank. We never had a play with black and white being involved. I said, sir, we got to have it at night because then the black parents can't come. They work. We got together with a group of white students and some black students in that play, and we influenced him to let's have that. We convinced him. And that's when I said, wait a minute, I can do a little more. So let me also now go into the world that I can help much better. And that's when civil rights really, still maintaining my schoolwork and still maintain. And that's when I went into the ministry. I went to Pittsburgh Seminary. Dr. Emmett Burns said, hey, man, let's go to Pittsburgh, get your scholarship. So I said, my mother said, you don't have to go to seminary to preach. I said, I sure don't, Mother, but in order to know, I got to go.
Wow. Now today you're a pastor. You've been a pastor of several churches. What are you? Where are you pastoring now?
Right now, I'm a supply pastor in Hattiesburg. I was in Meridian for about 5 years at the New Hope Church, and so what I do now is go to places where churches need to come out of the status quo, and we call it church renewal. That's hard to do now.
Right.
That's not easy. But that's where we are now, making the church more into community and community involved, and just on a Sunday that Martin Luther King talk about. Sometimes that can be not our best just on a Sunday service.
Well, now, a few years ago, you were part of a panel called Sunday Morning Segregation. Tell me a little bit about that and what was the outcome.
I believe that might have been several years ago. It was held at the Central United Methodist Church, I believe, down on Ferris Street, if I'm correct. Dr. King used to talk about the 11th hour on a Sunday.
Right.
The most segregated hour for black and white churches. So here we had a chance to revisit that with what you're talking about, and we brought it back through the Margaret Walker Research Center, I believe, helped sponsor that. And today, we brought that back up. There are still some churches that still have a problem at the 11 o'clock hour. We have now interracial services, but we still, in some places, I can bring a white minister to my church, but a minister reminded me this two years ago, I think somewhere near Plains, Georgia, that but if you come to my church, they'll let me go. They dismiss me from the church. So we still have that problem in small segments of our country.
Mm-hmm. Now, we're coming up on March, and that March Bloody Sunday that's known to the world as Bloody Sunday. And also there's a movie out now, Selma. Don't know if you've had a chance to see it or not. If so, I was going to ask you your impressions or, any thoughts that you had. First, what I'm going to just do is play just a little clip from the movie.
One day, when the glory comes, it will be ours.
Dr. King, what's your next move?
In March from Selma to Montgomery.
Selma is loud for every man, woman, and child.
We will not wait any longer.
In front of a crowd.
Mine eyes have seen the glory. Glory, glory, hallelujah.
So what do you think Martin Luther King would say today?
I'm often asked the question, even by some of our students, that kind of perplex me or bother me just a little. Mr. Banks, why do we have to keep on talking about the past?
Mm-hmm.
That is to a lot of people make you become angry, etc.
Mm-hmm.
And not only students, but even some other older acts. Why we have to deal with the roots and Selma and going back to those days. And I think that if we don't let our generation now know the disparity that we went through within the struggle, and that struggle still continued, I think then we don't give ourselves justice. Mm-hmm. History must be known. Not only repeated, but history must be known so we can see that we can do better. So now, one thing about the Selma movement and others, sometimes it don't excite me that much because I lived through it.
Right.
I was there.
Right.
I was with the tear gas situation, with the threats of being put in a river when I was in JSU City. So those stories must be told so we can realize how strong we are.
Exactly.
And not only that, it must be told, let us realize that we still have what King called that agape love. Because one for that agape love, I probably would have a hate for everybody who looked different from me.
Well, mm-hmm. Now, Michaela, you wanted to ask a question.
I do. Mr. Banks, what would you do or say to encourage your students to get out there and vote as well as be a part of this powerful black movement?
Let's look at where we are right now with our crime rate all across the country. That always seems to affect the African American a little bit more. Let's look at the flag.
Mm-hmm.
I tell our students in a little frustrating way, a little anger comes out of me that we had the opportunity, Jackson State, Alcorn, Valley, we let some of the other schools outvote us against that rubber flag. And I asked the question, why students, what's the problem? Some of those students wasn't here at that point, but I tried to let them know that, hey, wow, people died for that right. And so we got to lead the thing that Martin talked about, and we must do it through our vote now. We must do it through the privilege of our right, because when you vote, you're not only voting that we can have tuition waivers and grants and go to school and have money, but you're voting to have the same street lights and the stop signs that on one side of town that on this side of town. So voting is almost everything. You live vote, you eat vote. Votes talk about what kind of food you have at stores and how they keep it clean. Because you got people who legislate government for the people and by the people. So if we can get it understood that, hey, we should be out voting everybody every time it comes to vote. African Americans, young people probably should be doing it more than those who walking on canes and in wheelchairs.
All right.
If you're just joining us, we are talking to Baron Banks. Baron Banks is professor of history and philosophy here at Jackson State University. You are also the chaplain for the National Alumni Society, or rather the National Alumni Association. Right,
Exactly
the national chaplain. What does that role play in the organization?
Well, this is probably now my fourth term when I say that, almost over 12 years being reappointed and elected chaplain for the National Alumni Association. By the way, we have 52 chapters throughout the United States. Dr. Lackey at one time was the president, and now we have, and it was Terry Woodard, now we have Yolanda Owens out of Atlanta. And what I do as a national president, of course, pray at the different events, but also keep in touch with alums across the states, United States, who have concerns about safety for our schools, who, if we have students who unfortunately have demised through an accident, we be a part of all of that, whether they're faculty, students. That's what the National Alumni position kind of deals with.
Well, you certainly wear a lot of hats. Now, I want to, before you go, talk about an event. You want us to save the date for March 27th, 2015. It's called Community Night Out.
Yeah, this is going to be our fourth annual event for Community Night Out. This is where Jackson State University, especially our History and Philosophy Department, get a chance to engage in the community. This is where students come to a setting. This would be a church setting. The philosophy classes will write a paper on this theme, communicating the ideas of arts through music, speaking, and dance. They actually write on this. This time, the dean saw, the new dean, Dr. Mario Avedo, thought that we should involve not only just the history and philosophy classes, but also speech, music, and the drama classes. So we're looking forward. We had 500 people last year.
Wow.
The Choctaws came from the reservation. It was in our class. And we're looking forward on the 27th at the New Dimensions Church on Terry Road. We're going to really have a great time with engaging our students and the culture and what we do. And music is powerful, y'all. Music everywhere.
It really is.
Music everywhere. So we're going to let this know that music can also enlighten and brighten us up.
Well, thank you so much for that. Again, Baron Banks is professor of history and philosophy here at Jackson State University. We've been talking to him about his time growing up during the civil rights history, segment of our lives. And you know, is it easy for you to how easy is it for you to like move forward when you see a lot of the crime still happening in Jackson? Sometimes it seems as if we haven't gone as far as we should.
When we had the Martin Luther King convocation on campus a few weeks ago, and at the end I led "We Shall Overcome," people might say again, why sing that song now? Because we still need to overcome. When we have crimes like we have it everywhere, not only in Jackson, Mississippi, not only the murders of police officers with black youth, but black on black crimes everywhere. We still need to sing "We Shall Overcome." Unfairness in justice system, and we still need a minimum wage income for people to make more money. We must still sing "We Shall Overcome." Dr. King wouldn't change that song, and we shouldn't change it.
Well, thank you. Thank you. We shall overcome indeed. Well, again, we want to thank our guest, Baron Banks with Jackson State University, and we hope to hear a little bit more about what's going on. And I think the Mass Communications Department, Dr. Acevedo, we're going to have to let him know that we should probably be at this event as well. Exactly. So we'll probably have to bring some of our students.
And let me just say, too, my son, Joseph Banks, who happened to went to USM, he majored in music industry. He's a national recording artist. And because he doesn't have an agency, we could get him without having to pay any kind of money, just coming to help his dad. He's going to be our star artist for that particular event on the 27th, Joseph Banks, and also Jackson State Chorale and a dance group. It's going to be great. You need to come.
Okay, Chrissy, he's looking at you now. We'll do our best to be there. Thank you very much. And we hope you have a great day.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Stay tuned. More JSU Connections after the break.
Can you imagine the JSU world in the palm of your hands? Our virtual campus tour shows you where you are and how to get where you're going. Campus news and events, sports scores and schedules, and the sounds of jazz with the touch of a button when you download JSU Go today. The JSU world at your fingertips. That's the new mobile app, JSU Go, now available on the Android and iPhone.
Thanks, Mom. My parents always hoped that I'd do better than they did. Get a good education, become somebody. I chose Jackson State for many reasons. The faculty and staff seem to care. I have the resources I need to grow and learn. It's affordable, and I'm more than just a face in a crowd. At Jackson State, I matter. Yeah, I'm getting a great education, but I'm fulfilling a dream too.
Now is the best time to choose Jackson State.
For enrollment, 601-979-2911.
And welcome back to JSU Connections. We've got a few more minutes, and we can't go without our Stephen Gilbert with Sports Talk.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of Sports Talk. I'm Stephen Gilbert. Another night and another close road victory for Kentucky. The Wildcats stayed unbeaten with another tough road win against LSU, 71-69. The Wildcats are now 24-0 and 11-0 in the Southeastern Conference. Kentucky can tie a school record for the best start to a season by winning at home on Saturday against South Carolina. And around the NBA, Pau Gasol continues to be a force inside for the Chicago Bulls. Gasol and his strong play Tuesday night with 26 points and 16 rebounds was the NBA's best 34th double-double of the season, and it was also his 13th straight. And Miami Heat All-Star Dwayne Wade has backed out of Sunday's NBA All-Star game. NBA Commissioner Adam Silver revealed that Atlanta's Kyle Korver will replace Wade. Korver, who was an All-Star Weekend bound anyway for the three-point contest, is the record-tying fourth Atlanta player on the East roster. And in Major League Baseball, Alex Rodriguez has met with Yankees officials and apologized to the team following his season-long suspension for violating baseball's drug agreement and labor contract. In a joint statement issued by the team, Alex said, initiated the meeting and apologized to the organization for his actions over the past several years. And Hall of Fame running back Tony Dorsett says he started playing football not knowing that it would end like this. Dorsett is battling with a condition caused by head trauma that can lead to dementia and depression. The former Heisman Trophy winner at the University of Pittsburgh and Super Bowl champion with the Dallas Cowboys was diagnosed in 2013 as having signs of a degenerative brain condition. Dorsett told a Dallas area radio station last week that he loves football and it was good to me despite the diagnosis. And both the Saints and Pelicans ownership could be changing pretty soon. Owner Tom Benson says he wants to undergo a court-ordered mental competency evaluation as soon as possible. A New Orleans judge has ruled that Benson must undergo a physical and mental exam by 3 physicians as family members fight for control over the 2 sports franchises. Benson's daughter, Renee, and her children want the 87-year-old Benson declared incapable of handling his affairs. They filed suit in January after they were removed from Benson's succession plan for his teams. And after 260 years, women have finally gained entrance to St. Andrews. Swedish golf great Annika Sorenstam and Britain's Princess Anne are among the first 7 women admitted to the Royal and Ancient Golf Club in St. Andrews, Scotland. The club voted in September to end 260 years of male-only exclusivity by voting in favor of inviting women to join. Sorenstam is a 10-time major champion, and Princess Anne competed for Britain at the 1976 Olympics and is also an IOC member. And this week, we would like to acknowledge Jesse Owens as the Black History Athlete of the Week. Jesse Owens was the son of a sharecropper and a grandson of a slave. He achieved what no Olympian before him had accomplished. His stunning achievement of 4 gold medals at the 1936 Olympic Games in Berlin has made him the best remembered athlete in Olympic history. Owens became the first American track and field athlete to win 4 gold medals in a single Olympiad. This remarkable achievement stood unequaled until the 1984 Olympic Games in Los Angeles, when American Carl Lewis matched Jesse's feat. And that wraps up today's show. Thank you for listening. I'm Stephen Gilbert.
Thanks so much, Stephen, and thanks for that Black History fact. And that's all the time we have for this edition of JSU Connections. Thanks to my student producer, Michaela Croft, and production assistant, Kristen Banks. I'm Dr. Sunny Fridge. Have a blessed day. The Tony Yarber Show is next.